you wanna be, a king or a queen, as long as you got a dream. Oh no, it's a lie, they just wanna take your life, try to tell you it's a battlefield. People tell you you can be anything you wanna be, wanna go to outer space, superhero in the streets. Damn, what a lie, what a time to be alive, how have I survived? Life's a battlefield, 1974.
Chilling in the chair, I'll be sipping it. Watch a bunch of shows, I'm getting it. Yeah, I understand it's a quarantine, I got to be chilling all alone, but I'm getting sick. People who be running half the office, signing politics, and scrambling to tell the kid to stop. I ain't gonna leave the room, I don't wanna kill a few with that the shit that is inside my car. Look at the clock, taking it bigger than now, taking a part of the crowd. Don't wanna pop, I don't want anyone down, better be kicking them out. Look at the box, smoking loud up in my damn house. Solo though I know I'm never going on and out. Party on my own, y'all. Look at how the people trying to hold me back, hold me back. Going so loud. Look at how the people trying to hold me back, hold me back. Slow down. Fuck going out, getting high on the weekend. So loud, oh, party on my own. Party on my own. I'm doing what I'm doing, I don't got a lot to prove. And if I'm moving, then I'm grooving, cause I wanna do it. Stupid, got my music and I lose it to another tune or two. If I don't get to move it, even real can do it. When I'm cooking, then you know I'm cooking bacon. You don't wanna check under the apron. Vacuum the whole room naked, facing windows so people who out getting the greatness. Telling me better to hate this, really though it ain't shit when you could compare to what the other people facing. So what I am drinking, still half full is true. I'm comparing to the nations. Party on my own, y'all. Look at how the people trying to hold me back, hold me back. Going so loud. Look at how the people trying to hold me back, hold me back. Slow down. Fuck going out, getting high on the weekend. So loud, oh, party on my own.
cuties, and indeed patooties. And welcome! I have with me the Pogbones gamer himself. Look at him there. He can't stop pogging at any moment of his life. How you doing, Drizzly?
That's right, people. It's me, Mr. Beast. I'm doing good, Nuvaleg. How are you? Are you excited for today's map?
Much worse now that you've started talking. Thanks for asking. But I am excited for today's map because we have a pretty unique one coming at you, made by Yorsh, a player who has made a map already on Mini RPG of the Week all the way back in week 24. Made Crystal Mines, which was one of the more unique looking maps we had at the time, and definitely had more scenery, I think, than about half of our other maps combined as well. It was an awful lot of fun. He's back with just an insane idea, Drizzly.
Yeah, from the little brief we've gotten today, you're in for a treat at home, and our drivers too. I think there's going to be a little bit of a different skill set tested today, but we'll see that. You'll see that for yourselves. I think it's going to be very visually obvious, and I think, you know, form over function, maybe a theme of Yorsh's last track that was featured on Mini RPG of the Week, but I think function with form in a beautiful matrimony is going to be on display today. A little bit of harmony, finding a balance between these two things. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, as winter ends, as the ice starts to melt in the northern hemisphere here, Yorsh has taken that very literally and has given us a map with two distinct themings of winter and summer that you can swap between by double respawning at any checkpoint, which means that you get to drive on a completely different version of the map. The ice melts and new pathways may open up. We're going to see how that actually ends up playing out in practice. It's confirmed by the mapper that you can drive the map fully in summer or in winter if you want to, but that's probably not the fastest way to do it. Some checkpoints are going to be faster in summer, some are going to be faster in winter mode, and it's up to the players then to find out during this discovery, which will be slightly longer than the norm, a full 20 minutes. It'll be up to them to then figure out exactly what is the fastest way to get through this map, and that's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be fun to cast Drizzly as well, but with the caveat that we don't really know what's going on. We can see in the background here as well, of course, how the sausage was made, as it were. Of course, Yorsh had to do a little bit of magic on this one, made some linked checkpoints, built the map twice, essentially, inside the same map. And a double respawn will take you to it. I'm also going to highlight here, as we're loading into the map, Drizzly, the ring checkpoints that are there. You can't double respawn at a ring checkpoint. So double respawning at a ring checkpoint will take you back to the previous full checkpoint. That's something for our players to keep in mind.
This is also going to mess with what is, you know, an RPG classic of a skill check, is being able to double respawn to retake a jump trick or any of our usual tricky things. Because if you're trying to reset to take a better line, you know, I don't know, with more speed, more traction, different angle and all this, and you're in a different season, you're a different version of the map, are you going to do a quick respawn? Like, what's the story?
That's a really interesting point. And of course, it's worth noting that a double respawn will take 3 seconds every time, you know? Or not quite 3 seconds, okay? It counts down from 3. It's not a full 3-second time loss, but it is definitely a time loss. So, you know, I mean, that needs to be factored in when you're looking at what may be the faster route. We are watching right now the full run through of the winter map. There's 2 GPSs on this map, 1 for each season.
Yeah, and we're currently following the author of the track themselves, Yorshmi Veloce, and perhaps showing people how it should be done. You know, a little bit of insider trading being done here. Shout out Alex. What's his name, Friedman? What?
Were you just going to shout me out for insider trading? Yeah. Shout out Alex for insider trading. That new layout guy. I heard he's really got to go.
But we'll see people, you know, trying to do the optimal changing of seasons and trying to figure out which is which. Like, is it better to do it earlier? Kind of, you probably need a good feel for the entire length of both versions of the map to actually, I suppose, feel out where that, you know, inflection point is.
Yeah, right? And we've been told by the author he tried to make sure that there was an optimal switch about halfway through the map. He didn't necessarily give us any more information than that. He did tell us the author time is just over 48 seconds, but also that that's an author time that's a clean run, but not necessarily the fastest run. He does expect to see that shattered by players once we get a little bit deeper into rounds. But even just on the straightforward maps, even without changing seasons right now, it is tough to find where you're going. Marius is just finding walls right now.
Yeah, I mean, like, maybe you can clip to the end. Maybe there's a credit warp or something like that on this map. We don't know. There's just so much going on.
I'm so lost, man. Do not know where we are right now. I know that we're on the summer map, and trying to see exactly where that differs from the winter map then going to be a little bit difficult. I think we do know that, from again, what we've been told, the end of the summer map should be faster than the end of the winter map. I believe that's probably because on the winter map it is an icy quarter pipe jump. On the summer map, I'd assume it's similar, maybe without the ice on the quarter pipe, and that probably will turn out to be a little bit quicker. So unfortunately, we're probably not going to get to see a huge amount of that icy end.
Well, you know, that's just how the cookie crumbles. We'll see it. We'll see it in the warm-up. We'll see it when people are figuring it out and trying to be like, oh, which version? What's the parity of the map? Like, do we start summer and winter? Actually, a good question, Alex. Do we start in winter? Is that the default? Or
I believe we start in winter. Yeah, no.
Okay.
By default, you start in winter because, again, there is to pull back the curtain a little bit. There are two versions of the map made here, or he's replicated the map. He's just changed some versions on it. There's linked checkpoints, and double respawning at one of the checkpoints will bring you to the other one that it is linked to instead. That's how you get swapped between the two seasons, which is just an incredibly cool idea, and hopefully looking well executed as well as we get into this one. As we see this is definitely going to be a bug slide on this one. But it does mean there is only one start block. Everyone will be starting on winter.
Lovely stuff. This is like we're still harping on it, and we've reiterated a few times because it is truly just such a cool idea. Two instances of the map where like the tricks completely differ, despite the lay of the land being essentially the same, bar some surfaces and you know the tricks you'll need to impart and show your knowledge on.
It's a massacre out there. Look at what they did to my boys.
Oh dear, I thought you'd be stronger.
That's fine. That's a lot of people watching the GPS right now, trying to figure out what exactly is going on this one. As we will see this turn here, the jump over the top, and especially the water that has melted. On the ice map there, you can see that pool frozen over. And what the author has done as well, what Yorsh has done, is he's tried to make it, and keep an eye out for it, so that the ice that will melt is nice and blue. So those blue spots of ice, those are the bits that are going to melt when you swap over to a summer theme. Those frozen bits, the bits that are a little bit more white, those are the bits that are going to remain frozen even when you swap over to the summer theme.
I think what's really interesting is that this is one of those courses where even the best of the best, the tippy top, the best students in the class, I didn't even study for this one, you know, coming home with an A on the test, are being humbled. Like, there is no way to intuit your way around a map like this. It's just a lateral way to design a course that you're not going to see until you run it, you get a feel for it, and you know, those lovely blue patches of ice turn into nice blue clear water. And yeah, we have our runner, iced him.
Iced him, to quote Swaces, I think. That's the name there, right there, for sure. Showing us some of the double respawns in the middle of the map, swapping in between the two of them, going underneath here for a finish attempt. And we'll see what the times look like. That was a new record on the server, I believe, by Ice with a time of 49. If we stay on board with Ice, no, we'll swap over to Refact instead. Just we will start to see what a run strung together does look like on this map, because again, hard to wrap your head around as we try and get into this one, because there are just cars all over the place. And just to reiterate it, we can't tell just by looking what map someone is on until we see them going a direction that is impossible on the version map. Sorry, I tell a lie. We can of course tell what version of the map someone is on, because the map is just replicated twice. If we see someone here, they are on the same version of the map. It's going to be nearly impossible though to actually track players, because as soon as someone leaves the winter map to go to the summer map, we will no longer be able to see them if we're on a winter POV.
Yeah, actually,
that's
just
how that
wrestling
works
with this like existential fact now. It's just like they're you know, we're dealing essentially with a quantum map, people. You're not going to know. The two maps are entangled, but like until someone crosses that finish line at the very end, things are not decided. You know, the result is not observed until we're done with that. But that just makes for even more exciting races. You know, are you with the front of the pack? You'll not know, and if you decide to, I don't know, for whatever reason, if you try to do 2 switches of seasons, which, according to the author of the track, probably not your best bet, but like if you get your fingers twisted or for whatever, for some reason, or like the muscle memory of like, oh, I messed that section up, let me double respawn, and you're like, oh no, I'm on the wrong map now. Like, you could completely lose the run of yourself, but you could lose the run of the rest of the pack. Could be to your detriment, you know?
It definitely could. And we will see how that does work out, as it is going to make it just so difficult for us to track. So we're hoping for some clean rounds later on in the competition, so that we can actually keep track of players, because I do think once we get a little bit deeper in, we are going to see more of these players taking the same route, as tends to happen, whether it's convergent evolution, whether it is players just copying each other's lines. Ultimately, we do tend to see the players on the same runs as each other.
We're just going to get everyone by the end of this turning into crabs. Just carcinization, you know?
Everyone is a crab.
Can't help but make crabs, Alex.
It's so true. I do like some of these sections of the map, and we are starting to see it. I do think that this is a good double respawn. You can see the gap there on the left. If you come into its speed on the summer, there is a big ice wall that melts in the summer version instead. Tar4 still choosing to go for the forward way through. I think that might be one of the likely candidates, though, the previous checkpoint for that swap from winter to summer.
Yeah, I think what will be really interesting is people will probably be forced to choose a path early and stick to it, because the difference of when you change seasons with that double respawn, like, I'd say it'll be like plus or minus 1, you know. It might be CP4 for some, but then others it'll be CP6 or CP5, and it'll just be like, it's going to be in a neighborhood. You're not going to be able to optimize to perfection in this 20 minutes. You'll get a good idea, surely, but you know, I think we'll have different batches of people, and people will spawn in on a checkpoint, and you'll be like, oh shit, I thought I was safe from elimination. Oh dear, oh god, oh no, no, wait, you know?
Yep. And it will be interesting to track that. As you said as well, the 20 minutes, the slightly longer warm-up should give these players, and one of the things they definitely should be doing is practicing double respawns on the path that they don't want to take on various parts of the map. There might be a part of the map that you plan on taking in summer, a part that you plan on taking in winter, but you got to prepare for those crashes, you got to prepare for the risk, and you don't want to be double respawning twice in a section just to return to the previous version of the map. It's a big time waste. It'll be pretty bad if you do end up having to do that. And so maybe practicing some of the other routes, some of the alternate routes through the map, not a bad idea at all. Right now, Lars is just driving through in winter, and here is a single respawn choice. And single respawn, of course, still an option to remain on that version of the map, to remain without the switch. And Lars just going for a full winter run through right now with a single respawn as well, coming up to this final trick and jumping over the top. Of course, the summer finish that we've seen a couple of times is different to the winter finish. Rather than having to do this quarter pipe going the long way around, you just jump into that hole there on the left. And it's an awful lot quicker. I do think we're going to see a lot more of this summer finish.
Absolutely. It likely to be the thing we see the most. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. You were talking about the little gap to the left of that, was it the quarter pipe? The one where the ice wall disappears, and
yes,
you know, the way forward becomes apparent. It'll be interesting to see the different approaches to that. I really liked the little tight corkscrew that Lars got off the little ramp up to the finish on that one we did watch. But you know, a lot of variance when it comes to those kinds of things, I imagine.
Yeah, for sure. This is a map that is significantly less about pathfinding, but still challenging our players to think a little bit differently, still definitely challenging in its own way. And hey, it's still mini RPG of the week. We're still going to see quarter pipes. There's this trick, which is very, very different in the winter and the summer version. In the winter version, that ice has all melted for summer, but in winter it is a bowl. It is cupping the corner, and you can kind of quarter pipe into it. In summer, you're looking to land on a magnetic strip at the top that is revealed when the ice melts from the winter version. So it'll be interesting to see if that is a point where players choose to swap beforehand, seeing how players come out of that one with speed. It's all around going to be an awful lot of fun to see what does end up happening. And taking a look at the times, players are starting to get the hang of it. Players are starting to find a good place to swap over. Already that time down to a 46.5 second.
Yeah, no, that's great to see, because I think that's showing us that we're going to be in for a treat. We're gonna see, you know, already what the author times have been, you know, I suppose, surpassed. We're going to be able to see players. And, you know, with all the different perspectives, it's like, you know, when people do those events where it's like break the record kind of thing, where they get, you know, top runners of, you know, I don't know, speed games or whatever, that, or top
Yeah, they're
brain
called
scientists around the world.
races. It's, that thing where people go as fast as they can. It's called Trackmania, Drizzly.
That's what I'm saying. The perfect analogy is this racing game where several people try to iterate on it.
The perfect analogy to this kind of event where, like, people try and get the fastest time is this event where people try to get the I understood. I got where you were coming from, I understood where you were going with it.
Some kind of RPG on a small scale, maybe once a week.
What would we call that? Weekly mini RPG competition?
Semi-bi-weekly, semi-fortnightly,
I won't tell you what was running through my brain at that point. I may tell you off camera, but in the meantime, we'll keep going with this one. And the slightly longer warm-up time, we should be seeing players really get to grips with this map at this point as well. Still 7 minutes left and still room for improvement. There are some players that we don't see a huge amount of. I'm not sure up at the top there if we've seen them near the top of the leaderboard for an awfully long time, but that is a fast time set of 45 seconds with 7 minutes left.
It's juicy. That's a nice little time. I was just paying attention to how nice a little angle the magnetic strip gives you in the summer variant to just line up that quarter pipe, line up the last little section to finish it off. It's quite a treat. It must feel really nice to get a good run of this map.
Yeah, it's very smooth, and yours does map transitional maps quite a lot of the time as well, so you can tell, right? And you could tell back on Crystal Mines too, the previous map that yours did for the competition. A lot of those transitions are very smooth, even when they look like they'll be a little bit awkward. Maybe they feel awkward in training. Once you do start to get through them a little bit, they do start to feel very smooth a lot of the time. With that said, it does also mean that he knows how to make something interesting and awkward for good drivers as well, right? He pushes it to the limit and then sometimes slightly beyond just to make it difficult on purpose. And that can be very interesting and can take a map over the edge into a lot more fun to watch for competitive versus just being enjoyable to drive.
Yeah, big time. I mean, you gotta be able to play well within the rules to know how to break them in an interesting way and not make it frustrating or annoying or even like visually confusing. This track to start, I was wrestling with in my brain to kind of glue all the bits together, but now that I've been watching it for a while, and as the drivers obviously get more accustomed to it, we too are seeing the way that a good way to drive the map, but also it's great to see it because I imagine this must be such a treat, both to watch, to drive, to experience. Here we're seeing that magnetic strip again. And if you don't keep your momentum,
it's a little bit tough. It's a little bit
of a bind.
It's a narrow strip to land onto. I will say as well, I was watching Ice go on that run. And there's one particular line in our prep document that I would like to draw everyone's attention to. As we watched Ice desperately try and figure out a way to avoid doing a 360 down that corridor on the winter map, there are two tricks that Yorsh is particularly happy with on this map. One of them being that wall ride in summer. He really likes how it drives. And the other one is that Ice 360. And one of the key notes he gave us is, I really hope nobody figures out a way to avoid doing that Ice 360. Right now, honestly, it doesn't look like anyone has, as we see Lars going for it, and really the key is you want to come out of it with enough speed to then get the clean landing onto that one and then go into double respawn into this wall ride, and that does seem to be the position where most people are choosing to go for their double respawn. But we're seeing it's still hard to pick up enough speed by that next checkpoint to get enough speed for that wall ride.
Oh, big time, yeah. I like the 360. It looks cool. I like it. I also hope no one finds a way to skip it.
No one breaks it. Stop trying, everyone, all right? You better 360 or else we don't have the power to do it. Is that all right? Can we disqualify people? Blackpool's here as well, right? Can we disqualify people if they skip the 360? I know, like, it's not in the rules or anything, but, like, we can, right? Like, we can get rid of them.
Yeah, no, I actually called the president of planet Earth, and he said that we can actually kill anyone who skips.
Hey, I mean, I think we could just get Macron in at least, right? Like, President of France, he's got a bit of an interest in Trackmania now, they're playing it over there or whatever. And
I think he might be a bit preoccupied these days, not to be too...
I can't see any... I can't see any particular reason that that'd be true. Also worth noting here that we've been talking a lot about the speed on that, and it is difficult to keep the speed up. If you overjump it, if you go a little bit high, if your entry isn't great, then you do lose a lot of speed into that one. Yogg at the moment as well, to continue to point out the gimmick of this map too, was going for an earlier respawn. He was skipping that ice 360, but doing it by going for an earlier double respawn, swapping to the summer track a little bit earlier than some of the other players. There's a chance, I think, going for that one as well may give you more speed heading into that wall ride later on. We'll see if he does it again. He does. He's going for a much earlier double respawn than some of these other players. Well, I say much earlier. One checkpoint earlier.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to get at earlier. I think it could come down to just, you know, it's a single digit difference of what respawn you choose, but I think it could make a big difference. But if you're more comfortable doing it, I mean, like you're seeing here, we're probably looking at what, like a, I don't know, 49.
Yeah, I think below that potentially 47 will be the time. It's a good time from Yogg as well. I think, is that a PB? It was a PB from Yogg. Still though, he's a ways off the pace, and to me, I think that is a sign of that earlier checkpoint that he's going for. Rather than doing the ice 360, having to go the long way around and respawning there seems to be losing him a couple of seconds, honestly, because that was a pretty clean run through that he had, and he's still off the pace.
Yeah, we're with Evolution now, doing the ice 360, clean through that transition there. We're going to see here what the difference that makes, you know. And we could just use this maybe as a instructional moment.
Yeah, hoping for a clean run here for Vevolution, going for the transition after the wall ride instead. Again, we are seeing different strategies from different people, maybe depending on their level of comfort, how regular they're getting some of these tricks as well. In Vevolution, it's going to be a 48, 49 ultimately as well. And that transition, I think, going for that wall ride into summer mode, looking like it's an awful lot quicker.
Yeah, at the same time, I think the Evolution kind of mistimed their double respawn there. It felt like they got about 2 seconds past the checkpoint before they did it.
True.
Which, you know, having to double respawn while driving, you know, full speed or whatever, having done like a nice transition is, you know... Oh, we're following Yannick's doing the same change?
You know what we're going to see, and we're not really going to be able to track it, but we're going to hear about it from a player after a round, is that they went for the double respawn too early and went to the wrong checkpoint.
Oh, Alex. Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
Yep. It's going to happen. I think we all know that it's going to happen to someone at some point, and it is going to be part of the risk reward on this map. The risk is that you do go it, and it's a big time loss. You'll be a full checkpoint behind where you want to be, driving a part of the map that you don't want to drive. And the reward is that you shave a few tenths off by really pushing how close you can get to that double respawn. That'll be incredibly hard to track, but it will be fun to try and keep an eye on, and I do think we're going to hear at least one player complain about it as well. We're into our no elimination round, and that means, Drizzly, it's time to predict how many players do you think will not make it to the finish in this first round?
We're always one off here at Mini RPG of the Week. I'm gonna say...
I did it again last week.
Did you actually?
Yep.
I'm in single digits for this. I was gonna say 8, but I think I'm gonna say like 5 or 6. I'll lock in a 4 actually.
Whoa, you think that we're gonna get just 4 people out? The minimum 4 people out in round 1. Honestly, do you know what, Drizzly? I was kind of with you. I'm thinking that this is a map that is very finishable. It's more about how it's going to look in the later rounds, and it's more about just being goddamn stylish as hell. I think I'm gonna nickel and dime you on this one. I'm gonna go with 5.
We're covering our bases here.
We're covering our bases. Watch as somehow we eliminate 3 people in the first round for the first time ever, or inevitably end up with 6 and somehow end up 1 off again. Either way, I'm looking forward to this first round. We're going to get another look here at this ice finish, the winter finish. A finish that I do not think we're going to see all that much of in rounds, requiring, as he does, just that much more airtime and that much more distance traveled than the summer one. But we are getting a good look as well from Shadow Alex. Or Shadok Alex. I don't know. Hard to tell. But what it does look like if you overshoot that summer finish. Because if you overshoot, if you come in with a bit much pace, as some people will want to do, you're going to bounce over it. You're going to crash back. You're going to slowly drift down through the water, and you are going to have to watch helplessly as someone who times it correctly manages to land perfectly across the line. I am looking forward to it. An overhead shot of the summer and the winter versions of this map as we will get into round 1, where, according to Drizzly, 4 players will indeed be eliminated.
I got word from President Macron, Mr. Beast himself. It will be 4, exactly 4, and we already have 2 people DNFing. Mr. President, I'm sorry to say, but
well, it's looking not ideal. Maybe it's fake DNFs and we're being lied to. That does happen from time to time. You know, someone momentarily disconnects, reconnects, the server says they've DNF'd, and then they're gone. But we'll stay on board with any Unity. I think looking, especially in some of our mid to top rounds, and especially early here, looking at those leaderboards over on the left are going to be as relevant as anything else. Even with the linked checkpoints, we should be able to see where someone rates relative to the rest of the field, even if we can't see it on track. So seeing Pokemonza in 60th here, seeing what he does go to as they cross through the next checkpoint, going to be very relevant. Choosing to just get a little bit of a smoother transition there and managing to stay in 60th place.
60th place does the job. I mean, that line doesn't exactly do the job, but there's 4 people down at the bottom. I mean, they're not in that group, but
this is Pokemonza. We are unfortunately watching their discovery run through the map as well. Lost and confused and trying to find their way through on the first elimination round. It never feels good. I think we're going to see a couple more than 4 eliminations, unfortunately, here. That is Dobry across the line in 54th place with 15 seconds remaining on timeout.
I wonder if Pokemonza was the first victim of the I double respawned too soon, and that's why they were lost a little bit.
It could be. I'm gonna say it. I think they may have just joined slightly too late here. I did not see 9 players coming on this. I gotta be honest with you.
You know what? I'm mad because you remember my first guess I was going to say, oh,
you
I'm
did.
thinking about 8,
yeah,
and I was still 1 off.
Either way would have been 1 off. At least we weren't 1 whole digit off, because that would have felt real bad. It was not double digit eliminations. We will head into round 2 with 58 players. And we're going to see how this one continues from here on out. Again, going to be very difficult to keep track of, and there are some players who just immediately go to the summer version of the map as well.
Well, I mean, if you don't have to worry about changing with a double respawn for the entirety of your run, if you just get out of the way early, maybe you can just concentrate on the driving, get it done, tap it in, you know. Wonderful
just
display.
Tap it in.
Just tap it in.
Bit of Happy Gilmore. We do love it here, as we'll watch as Bison Ravi does try to get around this turn. That ice slide is a little bit tough. Iramis a long way down the field, but should surely be able to climb back up right now. We'll see as we cross through the next checkpoint. Still in 55th place. Needs to nail this wall ride, and it is difficult. You can see multiple respawns going through there, and making it as far as the booster is only half the battle. You still need to make it there with a bit of speed. Someone goes off the top, and Aramis is in a lot of trouble. This may be a double respawn necessary. No, just going to choose to dive down into the pool, which will get him back on his wheels.
Otherwise, that was wise. Having I suppose, missed the trick twice. Just like I said, tap it in, walk it in. In these early rounds, just stay alive, keep breathing, stay with me. And they make it, okay.
They're all fine. Someone who's not fine is our very own Orion TM. The recommended route by the mapper is to go winter into summer. Orion chose to go summer into winter. It's not worked out, as he will finish in 56th place. And hey, I'm sure we'll see him playing a bit more of this map, because it is a fun one anyway. Will be 1 of 4 players eliminated, and it will just be 4 players eliminated in this round, as Unity will cross the line in a position somewhere outside the top 56. I'm just watching as Orion dropped below them, and that's confusing to me.
Look, Orion was having a little bit of a rebellious phase, and sometimes you rebel because you need to learn. You know, so sometimes when you're a teenager and you're doing stuff, sometimes you're wrong. Your parents might be right, but that's okay. You know, we're meant to make mistakes. We're meant to learn. And hats off to you, Orion, for being that example to the rest of our drivers here today. We'll see you next week, bud.
Incredibly toxic. I can't believe you've done this, but you know what? You're dead right. I'm excited to see Omon back this week again, the player who had multiple miracle rounds last week to stay in the competition all the way into that top 10. Had a very good week. We'll see if they can repeat it this week. But we have a long way to go, and right now, a Seed is in trouble. A Seed, a player who hasn't been around for a little while, but is definitely a force to be reckoned with when it comes to mini RPG of the week, and now a long way down the field.
Sometimes the big dog comes back, but you know, the young dog that's new to the house has a bigger bark, and you need to kind of show yourself. You need to show your how big of a dog you really are, and I think a Seed needs to put in a little bit of graft here to show that they are a force to be reckoned with, and I think they're proving that right now, making it back into the qualifying pack. But you know, kind of.
Do you know what? Not the worst hit you could have gotten. That could have gone a lot worse for Seafill. They will scrape into 49th place. They will stay in the competition. And when you hit that far wall, all you can pray for on that finish is that it boots you down the water onto the floor. It happened to Seafill there, and they got their wheels under them in time to get across the line. Not true for some of our other players here, as we will lose 4 more players. But we did see some very good players up near the top there. We did see from a Seed as well, something that I think is worth highlighting there, Drizzly. Went for a double respawn and then double respawned again at the next checkpoint. He was on the version of the map he didn't want to be on for this wall ride specifically, and chose to take another double respawn rather than tackle it on the winter mode.
It paid off. I mean, like, having the to quote one of my old coaches, have ice in the mind and fire in the belly, to make that calculation and be like, no, I'm going to do another double respawn. I'm going to get in the right version of the map. I'm not going to try and panic and put myself under mental duress when I need to finish out. I just need to stay alive. It's absolutely right. It's another skill unto itself, and I think showing that really does, you know, it's a testament to the fact that they are a big dog. I'm sorry, a Seed.
A Seed is the big dog. Hey, and it's going to potentially work out for them here. We will at this point as well, as we're getting into these kind of bottom rounds, as we are eliminating some people who are still struggling on the map here. Point out that Lars has once again got a best time on the server. It has been a string of very, very strong performances from Lars. This would be, if he can get far this week, another very strong finish after 3 top 3s in the last 3 weeks, of which he won the first 2. So, you know, eyes on Lars, who is on a run of form at the moment.
Shout out to Lars. Larston? Lars TM? How do you...
Seriously, it's been pointed out in chat, and I do just want to say that you've been called out for using the exact same quote last time you were on 25 episodes ago. Or not the last time you were on, but you did use the same quote 25 episodes ago.
Ice in the mind, fire in the bellies.
Uh-huh.
It stuck with me. What can I say? That's why it's a quote. Who's calling me out? Who's calling me out?
Did you play rugby? Did you play rugby in school?
No. That wasn't me. That was a different Drizzly. You don't.
Sure. No, definitely. Absolutely. I did see again here inside our top 50. There are still some players going for double respawns on the start line, just immediately stalling on that start line and choosing not to engage with the start of the winter map. So, interesting to see, and well, we'll see if any of them do stay in until late in the competition. I'm not thinking so. I'm thinking that we're going to see maybe this as the first checkpoint that people later on do choose to respawn at, and we will see some respawns there. But for the most part, I think this checkpoint, a big one for the double respawn, and in some limited cases, this one will be where some people will double respawn. In general, I think that kind of 360 through the winter, this wall ride on the summer, 2 big tricks that are quick ways through the map if you can get them consistent.
Well, Alex, all you've done here is prove that you are a meta sheep and you're only willing to listen to convention. Shout outs all my instant respawners. Don't let this deter you.
Shout out Kirby players everywhere, you know?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you just gotta go counter meta. You gotta stick to the cheese that works, and you know, hopefully it doesn't get too moldy.
Wolfie in 42nd place by what? Ultimately very, very little indeed. A 1/10 of a second, no. A little bit more, as Javel took a while to get across the line. But again, that was Wolfie getting a quick drop down through the water. Could have gone out there if the crash had been a little bit worse. This map is going to provide drama in our last rounds.
I like it so much, because even when you get to the end and you think you're safe, no. Like, you can snatch defeat from the jaws of victory so easily with that little, just the little dip into that hole. If you don't have your angle and speed right, you are potentially losing what, like 7 seconds? Because if you bounce all the way backwards, you could just you might not be going forward again by the time the round ends.
Yeah, even if it's not 7 seconds, it's definitely going to be like 3, 4 if you get a very bad bounce there. And yeah, that's more than enough to turn the track main around. Even a small bounce later on, even losing a few tenths, could be crucial for some of these players. And this wall ride, again, I think it's just such a cool trick. The fact that there is kind of a less punishing, even if you fall, it's not a forced respawn. You just take a time loss. Very cool. It's just a cool trick. It turns out yours just makes kind of cool maps. As we'll see how this one turns out. Omum safely in the safe positions. Jaxi in a little bit of danger, an awkward landing, will get a big slowdown. Wolfie once again in a danger spot. Wolfie once again with a crash out, will not be punished, will still get across the line. 2 rounds in a row, 1 spot away from elimination.
We saw Jaxi there actually take such a cautious approach to the finish line. It nearly bit them, but I think ultimately it really stood to them to just take it that little bit slower, not exert, not overshoot. And you know, they're still in.
They're still in. And we'll see who stays in. Eramis did not. That's a pretty big name to be losing early on. Good players dropping out here, but there's still a lot of very good names left in the competition near the top there. It looked like Tarpor might have slid out there, but I didn't necessarily see them respawning. So we'll wait and see if we find them in the bottom 4. But for the moment, we'll continue on. There he is. I told you I saw him sliding out on the ice turn.
Maybe Tarpor was just, you know, having fun with it. Maybe joining that initial pack of double respawners at the start line, just to say that they could. That's my line. I don't think they spun out at all. I think that was a trick of the eyes.
Yeah, no, that's true. Everyone knows good players never slide out on ice. It's definitely a thing that doesn't happen to them ever.
I've never seen it personally.
Exactly. If you've ever slid out on ice, you're a bad player. That's what Drizzly says to you, and you can take it up with him. Probably on Twitter, I think, is the best place for a conversation like that.
Juicy impressions. That's all I'm here for, folks. The angrier you are, the better.
I think Yogg is gone. Arsvelu is gone. Jaxi is gone as well. And Yogg, that's a relatively early dropout as well. Arsvelu, I mean, hey, great mapper, has had better results than this, and it's sad to see him go so early, but, you know, these are the breaks, as this is going to start getting a lot more competitive now. Bimob is going to put a bit of flair on it. 360 into the finish line over that quarter pipe, but a 37th place finish ultimately.
Shoutouts Bimob. I read your tag as Bimbo initially. We will Bimobify the rest of the TM community soon. Don't you worry. I have some hypno videos on the way. On to our next round of eliminations. Who are the next 4 who will not be joining us?
I mean, who in your opinion is the most Bimob in Minecraft?
Oh, it's got to be Hero, Brine, Bim, Hero.
Sure.
Deployer, play the oof sound.
Deployer. Oh, he's awake. Honestly, Deployer sounded pretty tired. I thought he might be asleep at this point, but the fact that he has still been managing the spectator means that was a very unfair assumption for me to make, and I'm just going to stop saying it, Deployer. I'm very sorry for ever doubting you. Why am I still talking?
I don't know. I think what we've learned today is that I am right, and you are here to say words fast and tell me what's going on.
You're right, I'm left, and either way, El Pepito is going to be double respawning again, looking for this summer track instead, jumping up into this dirt turn. Very nice indeed, but getting towards the finish of the map, choosing not to go for a barrel roll will be slower than Zemuis, who comes from behind. Zemuis up into 30th place, needs to not crash finish, gets it clean, and will cross the line just ahead of El Pepito in 30th place, and safe in the competition.
That moment for El Pepito when they weren't sure what angle that the hesitancy was like, you know, you keep seeing that person looking at you from across like the bar and you're like just not sure. Should I? Oh, they like me, right? And then, you know, by the time you've made one decision or another, you need to take a piss, you go to the bathroom, you come back and they're gone.
Yeah. Awful.
So it's one thing to say to be decisive, not necessarily to always shoot your shot, but you know, to be decisive usually stands to you. If you make a decision one way or another, at least you'll know, and you won't lose a couple of seconds taking a bad jump when you could have taken a tighter corkscrew with the rest of them. We're here with Mount Hyan at the back of the pack. They've been doing okay so far, but ooh, that is a rough way to go down the stairs.
Yeah,
I'm gonna call those
still,
stairs now. It's not a stairs.
Do you know what? Sure, close enough. Slopey stairs is kind of what they are. And Corzo chose to take a double respawn to go onto the winter map for this section of the map. Was that on purpose? Was Corzo just crashing out? History may never relate, but Corzo is going to take another wall touch there, as well as going to slide out on the winter map all the way around this corner. And on snow, it is so hard to regain momentum in the other direction, and very, very slow recovery there. Means it's going to be tough. Tarpour as well, also in the danger zone, will cross the line to snipe Zenwis, who has not had a great time of it the last 2 weeks. Will be taking another early exit in the Netherlands. This time, the entire Netherlands internet doesn't go in the mud at the same time, but it will be Zenwis dropping in 29th, possibly even... No, it will be 29th as long as he gets across the line. It'll be 20. It'll be 30th. It'll be 30th for Zenwis.
Known liar, Nualeic on the mic for you people to tell you what you're seeing on the screen. Don't believe a word of it.
That's right. Call me a 12-stringed instrument because I'm a liar. I don't know. How many strings does a liar have? It don't matter, and I'll look up that joke and I'll have a prep next time I do a broadcast. But...
ice in the mind, fire in the bellies, folks. That's what we're saying today.
The trick is we're very original in everything we do, just like this map. No, that's a bad comparison because we're not original. Look, I'm losing my mind here, Drizzly, but we are heading towards the back half competition right now. Omam, I think, didn't 360 there. Honestly, is spitting in Yorsh's face with that lack of a 360. And very rude indeed. Will go for one of the classic respawns at this point, going for this one just before the wall jump to get into faster mode for this. And Omam in a position that he was very comfortable in last week, trying to snipe his way into the safe positions.
It looked a little shaky on that little wall ride for a sec, but they got it. Oh, I spoke too soon. The commentator curses once again, but they seem to be okay. They seem to have saved themselves the trouble, and we're here with Nalix. Damn.
Yeah, Nalix will drop out. GNU guy will drop out as well, not able to recover far enough up the field after that crash off the barrel roll. And there are still plenty of places. As cool as this map is conceptually, as sick as it looks the entire way around, and as fun as it looks to drive as well, there are still bits that require good execution. You know, it is still a mini RPG map. There are still a lot of jumps, a lot of barrel rolls, and you can see even on the first jump, still some players who are crashing out on them.
Here we are. We've identified one of our culprits who has been respawning immediately. Oh no, I've completely lied to you all. I'm doing my best Nualeic impression. I'm sorry. We will both be replaced with ChatCPT next week. We'll have our entire scripts, written for us beforehand.
Yep.
Oh dear.
This bottom four right now is tough. A Seed, Omam, Lucker's Turbo, all down here at the bottom. All three of them, I should say, were players who can't climb up, and Lars has joined them down here as well. Lucker's Turbo still looking snipe. Lars still behind him. Lars with a great jump. The barrel roll is clean, overtaking everyone. Needs a clean finish. Will get a clean finish. They both snipe their way up, and at the finish, it's Montean, Maverick, Mwanjmois, Lebole, and Omam, the four players to drop out. That was a bottom four in flux up until the last jump.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you get when you have two different instances of the map. Like, you can change between perspectives, but you're not going to see in the periphery of like the drivers around you. And the people who have stuck to their guns and decided to stick with the winter finish, often we're seeing that be the perspective of the elimination when we're watching these. But to make it this far into the rounds and be doing the winter finish is probably a testament just. A certain amount of the skill set being tested here, that you can keep up with the pack despite, maybe not having figured out how to do the other route.
Yep, that is absolute Marius behavior if I've ever seen it in my life. Just pick a line that works for you. Just take a slower finish if it works better for you and make it into a top 10 anyway. It's Marius behavior right there. As we'll see, who manages to, as we see who manages to keep going. Interestingly, we are still seeing big differences between what checkpoints people choose to respawn. And we saw Zerial in the last round take a second place time on the server with a checkpoint 3 respawn. One of the more unusuals that we see, completely skipping that ice turnaround, seeing this finish here. As Sartalion will snipe in, Hostile will snipe in as well, and it's Shadok Alex who will drop out in 15th place. Wolfie, Seaful, and Vevolution. This finish is spicy.
We're down to our top 16, well, top 14, but elimination rounds are getting a little bit more contentious now. We're left with a quarter of the server that started the race. So I'm excited. I'm excited. Who's your money on? Or
I mean,
are you too reserved?
Look, I'm going to say, I think looking at it, Yannick's, Lars, Marius, and the Seed are 4 players I expect to do very well today. It's been a while since we've seen the Seed near the top of the leaderboard, but Lars, Yannick's, and Marius have all been doing very well in recent weeks, and I think this is the kind of map where it's all very consistent. It's just slightly difficult tricks and a bit of decision making that suits all 3 of them as well. We'll see if that does end up being true, if we get any well, alright, look, you know what? Sometimes you do just caster curse someone.
You know, sometimes you do that, and sometimes you bless others, because I was like, I wasn't shit talking to Seed earlier or anything like that, but I was kind of like, oh, I'm not familiar with them. They're the big dog, and look at them setting the new server record of 43 and some change. So,
yeah,
you know,
I can't believe Yannick's is gone outside the top 10, honestly, with a second place finish. Or with a second place time on the server, Yannick's will drop out in 13th place, and Lucis will get across the line one more time here. Tarpoor just stayed out of the elimination zone. I believe Tarpoor may have gone for the winter finish there, as I didn't see him around Looker's turbo on the finish, but maybe he just crashed and was slow on the bottom of the lake. Either way, Tarpoor will stay in, Yannick's will go, Lucis will go. We're 1 round away from a top 10. Still some very good players. Look, I still mentioned 2 players, Lars and Marius, who I expect could do very well. And a Seed, of course, still there as well. But Zerial has a great time on the server. Luku's Turbo has a very good time on the server as well. This is going to be a tightly contested battle to the end.
Yeah, we're seeing like a large swath of the main pack taking that. Was it that the CP3 respawn? So it seems to be the kind of consensus that at least in a competition setting. Ooh.
Oh, I don't think you needed to double respawn there. I think the double respawn is a mistake on that one. You can just drop off the wall for summer, and you can just flip over in that pool, keep driving the track. May have been faster either way. Won't matter now. The snipe at the line. Sir Italian stays in ahead of Aziris, and that was close.
That was upsetting to watch. Even Sertalion just like clipped the little, like the bottom, the last possible micron of that that border. But they managed to flip in ahead of Aziris, and when we say farewell, we're into our top 10. Oh,
we're into our top 10. Still different routes being taken through the track. One of the joys of mini RPG tracks, it's hard to optimize them on the fly, and that's why mini RPG of the week is so much fun to watch week on week, especially when we get a track as interesting as this one. We'll see how it plays out now that we're in the top 10. Let's look. There's the first double respawn. I think 4 players I believe took the double respawn on that one. As we will see now, more players. Ice, one of 2 players to take the double respawn at checkpoint 4, and our remaining 4 we should see. No, some of them just continuing on for the time being. No, this is the pack that had double respawned earlier on as well. Everyone at this point on the summer. Hostile is double respawning after the ice wall, and we'll see if he manages to stay in. The last player to double respawn after the summer loop. Tarpoor gets a slowdown. Hostile forced to respawn as well. His jump is not good, and Zerial will be crossing the line in a clean jump. 9th place though, and Hostile will ultimately drop out. The last player, it looks like, to double respawn after the summer wall ride.
And we have a new server record.
Of course.
Of course we do. This is tense. You look at that last final pack, and actually at the end there we got to see the comparison between I think it was Sertalion when Lars spawned in on the later on CP4 on the little down into the quarter pipe, or the little ramp, and see a comparison of what that looks like. Oh, that is an unfortunate need to reset there.
It's tough. It's tough. We'll see how these players catch up, though. We are into our top 8. We will be into single eliminations after this round. Ice currently in the lead. Will that hold? Looker's Turbo a long way down the field. Tarpoor a long way down the field as well, but does make the jump. Sertalion, I'm not sure he has enough speed to make it. That's going to be respawn. That's going to be Sertalion a long way back now. The field should be pretty safe as long as no one gets a slowdown. No one crashes out on this last jump. Sertalion, he's clean. Tarpoor crashed. Someone else crashes to the side. It's a bloodbath as Mr. Rick and Looker's Turbo will drop out in 7th and 8th place.
I'm shook.
Harpur has been tracking it, by the way. 6 out of 6 slowdowns in the last 6 rounds on that barrel roll, and still alive.
Messed up my third soup.
That's hey,
I'm so sorry.
it happens. You know what? And it will be Lucas Turbo dropping out. Another strong finish for him, though. He's had a couple of good weeks on the bounce now, and that's got to feel good. Sir Talion here, a player that we don't necessarily see all that often. For the most part, though, the rest of our top 6 are consistent top 6 players.
Cut the feed. Nobody skips the 360. He did not cut the...
No. Look, Yorsh, avert your eyes. Nobody saw that. It'll be fine, okay? And it's definitely... It's okay. Everyone, I think, has the speed for this one. Marius gets a slowdown, and he's going to just about make it. Marius somehow recovers, but has he recovered enough? He's relying. He makes it over the rock as well. It needs to be a full crash from someone in front of him right now. It doesn't look like there is one. Acid is fast enough to beat them all out, but everyone does have the speed. Darpor does crawl across that line. Marius will get eliminated in 6th place.
I didn't realize it was Marius who actually caught the slowdown off the earlier little... Was it a bonk or something? And when I saw the rest of the pack catch up to a seed there, I was like, no, this could be a photo finish. There could be milliseconds in it.
It could be milliseconds. There will be milliseconds in it by the end of this one as well. We're hoping for a final round decided by that last jump into the finish. I'd love that. But we still have a little ways to go. We still have 5 players left on track. The only one that I backed... I backed Acid and Lars to make it near the top of this one. And right now, they're doing me well. They're doing me right. Decent predictions coming through. Tarpor, the player who I think is holding on the most by the skin of his teeth here, based on how he's been performing tonight. But he is holding on. And he's into a top 5. And while he's trailing the pack right now, there is still plenty that can happen. There is drama that can happen at the end of this track.
I don't know, man. He's a little far behind. I think it comes down to this little ramp corkscrew at the end here. Sir Talion gets a nice tight one, and Tarpor doing his best pogo stuck impression. I have no idea what's going on here.
That is...
Baby raging out at the end here. No, I appreciate... Oh, no. He was just correcting himself. Never mind. Yeah. No baby raging here.
It's like... I was technically also a slowdown, I guess. He did lose 10 seconds out of it. It's slightly more than a slowdown. Darpor disappointed at the flip. It's flip was there, unfortunately, and after a full 20 rounds, Tarpor, you would expect, probably knew that it was coming up. Not able to execute there, but a top 5 finish, nothing to sniff at. We're into our top 4. Sir Talion competing with some big names here. Seed, Ice, and Lars also looking to make our top 3.
You know what would be so upsetting? Not just to me, to you, but to everyone.
A seed crashed.
And this was exactly what I was about to talk about, was if a seed was the person who was skipping the fucking 360 on the ice slide and they came out on top. But it looks like God is smiting them for their sins. They are being punished.
Well, we'll see how it goes. He has speed over Sir Talion has slightly more speed going out of this. Lars. Sir Talion crashes a seed, gets a slowdown though as well. It doesn't matter. It's still enough. As long as he doesn't crash the finish, he'll be fine. His car comes off the roof, but he will scrape across the finish line. And Sir Talion will be beaten by that final jump, and it is decided rounds 2 times in a row.
No, they have plot armor. We're doing this for content. They're just we're keeping in the antagonist until the very last moment so they can be beaten by the good guys, right? Isn't that right, Alex?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's no way a seed can manage to skip this Ice 360 another time without being smitten down for his hubris. But he might, and we'll see how it goes because we're into our top 3. A finals berth on the line. Lars, Ice, both 360. A seed inside. Less speed than the other 2, but he is through. The only player remaining who goes for his respawn at checkpoint 5, and there go the other cars around the corner. Slightly faster, it looks like, to do it at checkpoint 3, and it means a seed has to catch up. He's neck and neck with Lars as we round the final hairpin on this track. Lars versus a seed. Who gets to the line? To the final jump we go. It's still close. Ice is the slowest on track, and Lars will snipe a seed at the finish line to stay in the top 2.
Good and evil are natural forces, folks. Be good out there.
What a round that was. Can this final possibly live up to it? Ice versus Lars. Number 1 versus number 4 for times on the server, but that last round showed just how close it could be. Both of these players have the same route through the map. They take the same 360. They take the same respawn after it as well. It just comes down to execution this time, and right now it is in Ice's favor. His respawn is snappier. He gets out the blocks quicker than Lars, and that means Lars with chasing to do in the back half of the map. Ice is very high on that wall, right, but he has the speed and he's okay, and Lars goes low into the drop, and now he's praying. It needs to be a mistake from Ice, but it's Lars who makes it. Unless Ice crashes out here, and he might. He gets a very big slowdown, but it's too far in front. He's too clean all the way through. Ice will win Mini RPG of the Week number 39.
Fucking thematic. Stop that. No, this isn't real. Scripted. This is rigged. Actually, this was a video prepared for you before the fact. Congratulations to Icetum, whoever that is.
Icetum beats Larstum to win in the final round, and I mean, hey, it really came down to an incredible third place finish as well. Seed, you gotta give him credit, was taking a different line than the other members of that top 3, still kept it competitive. And I think one of the things I do want to highlight there after that final round as well is something that we brought up at the start of the competition, something we didn't see anyone complaining about, was nobody double respawned too early, but Ice risked it more in that final round than Lars did. He double respawned a fraction of a second quicker, and he gained 2 or 3 tenths on that over Lars in the middle of the track, and that didn't make all the difference, but it did put the pressure on Lars, and ultimately Lars made the mistake. How much of that comes down to the fact that he was under pressure, we won't know unless Lars chooses to tell us. But it's not nothing. It's never nothing when the pressure is on, when the red border is flashing, when you're in that 1v1, you're always going to feel worse than the guy who's in the lead.
Oh, big time. Especially when you can see them driving ahead of you as you're waiting for your you know, car to be actionable, to be able to like start accelerating again. You're just watching them zoom off in front of you, and you're like, hey, I need to take these lines a little cleaner, a little tighter. And it's just, by the time you're thinking all that and you're not just executing your game plan, you know, there's only so much you can do. Kind of up to fate.
It's true. Huge thank you to Blackburn in chat for saying that Ice was smooth in the winter but Lars melted in summer. I think that's awful, and it's the only possible note that we can end this stream on as well. Thank you very much for everyone who joined us here. A huge thank you to Yorsh. This map was incredible. I mean, what a fun time we've had on it here. The players all having a great time on it as well, apart from Tarpor, who was getting slowdowns on that final barrel roll, and hey, he lost to it eventually. Wasn't even a slowdown, he just crashed into a ceiling. If you think you could build a map that could maybe match Yorsh's, it'll be hard, but we'd love to see your best efforts at it. Get in contact with Zederate over on the RPG Track Mania Discord server. We're always looking for more maps because they're what keeps the show on the road. Thank you, Jersey, for joining us. Thank you, Deployer behind the scenes. We will see you back here next week for Mini RPG of the Week edition number 40.